muttered, talking, they got my guts. Guts, informal words for bravery and determination. The injured man choked and said, guts. They got my guts. He meant that he was brave and courageous, and the Japanese army would have a tough time while punishing him. Sadao, Hana cried sharply. Upon hearing him, Hana cried out to Sadao. Hush, Sadao said. The man sank again into silence, so profound that Sadao took up his wrist, hating the touch of it. Yes, there was still a pulse, so faint, so feeble, but enough, if he wanted the man to live, to give hope. Profound means very great or intense. Pulse, heartbeat. Feeble, weak. Sadao hushed her to keep quiet. The man became so quiet that Sadao held his wrist to check his heartbeat. He was checking if the man was still alive. His pulse was there, although it was very weak. Sadao thought that it was enough for a person who had desired to live. There was still hope that the man would survive. But certainly I do not want this man to live, he thought. Sadao was sure that he did not want the man to live. No more anesthetic, she told Hana. Sadao stopped Hana from administering anesthetic. He turned as swiftly as though he had never paused, and from his medicines he chose a small vial and from it filled a hypodermic and thrust it into the patient's left arm. He turned quickly and chose a small bottle from the medicines. He filled a syringe with the medicine and pushed the vaccine into the man's left arm. Then, putting down the needle, he took the man's wrist again. The pulse under his fingers fluttered once or twice and then grew stronger. Fluttered, trembled. Thou placed the needle down and held the man's wrist. The pulse shivered once or twice and then improved. This man will live in spite of all, he said to Hana and sighed. Sadao took a deep breath as he told Hana that the injured man would live. The young man woke, so weak, his blue eyes so terrified, when he perceived where he was, that Hana felt compelled to apologize. She herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. Compelled means forced. Apologize, feel sorry. He woke up. His blue-colored eyes were full of fright as he realized where he was. Hana felt sorry for him. She served him food as the servants refused to enter the room where he was kept. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing. Summon together. When Hana met the injured man for the first time, She saw that the man was gathering strength and he was full of fear. Don't be afraid, she begged him softly. Hannah said softly to the injured man that he should not be afraid. How come you speak English? He gasped. He was astonished that she could speak English. I was a long time in America, she replied. Hannah replied that she had lived in America for a long time. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so she knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. Knelt. Knelt means sat on her knees. Porcelain, a white, vertified, translucent ceramic, also called china, used for making utensils, pottery, etc. Porcelain means चीनी मिट्टी के बर्तन. A white vitrified translucent ceramic, also called china, used for making utensils, pottery, etc. The man wanted to speak further but was not able to speak. Hannah fed him gently with a spoon made of porcelain. The man did not want to eat, but still he ate. Now you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. He did not answer when Sadao came in. The third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the effort. As Anna fed the man, she said that soon he would become strong. She said so, despite the fact that she disliked him, the man did not reply to her. Sadao visited the man on the third day after the operation. The young boy was sitting, but his face was pale and weak due to the effort that he made while sitting. Lie down, Sadao cried. Do you want to die? Sadao screamed at him and ordered him to lie down. He forced the man down gently, thus strongly, and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. Forced him down and inspected the wound that he had operated upon. He scolded the man that he could die if he tried to exert himself. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. The boy asked Rao that what would he do with him now? He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? It seemed that the boy was hardly 17 years old. He asked Sadao that would he hand him over to the Japanese army. For a moment, Sadao did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. Sadao did not reply instantly. He completed examining the boy and then put the silk quilt on him. I do not know myself what I shall do with you. He said, I ought, of course, to give you to the place. You are a prisoner of war. No, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. Sadao said that he himself did not know what he should do with the boy. He added that he was supposed to hand him over to the police. He also disclosed that he knew that the boy was a prisoner of war. As Sadao saw that the boy was about to speak, he raised his hand indicate him not to do so. Sadao asked him not to speak and not to tell his name also unless he asked him to do so. They looked at each other for a moment and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Sadao and the boy exchanged glances and then the boy closed his eyes and turned his face towards the wall. Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. Outside the door, Hana was waiting for Sadao. He saw at once that she was in trouble. The boy said okay in a low voice as he felt bitter by Sadao's words. Outside the door, Hana was waiting for Sadao. He saw that she was in some sort of Sadao. Yumi tells me the servants feel they cannot stay if we hide this man here anymore. She said, she tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first. They think we like Americans. Hana said to Sadao that Yumi told her that the servants would not stay with them if the American man lived there anymore. She also said that Sadao and Hana had been in America for such a long time that they had forgotten their country's priority. Yumi and the servants thought that Hana and Sadao liked Americans. It is not true, Sadao said harshly. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. Sadao reacted harshly and said that this was not true. He said that Americans were their enemies. He had been trained in such a way that he could not let a man die and would help to save him in whichever way he could. That was what Sadao had done. The servants cannot understand that, she said anxiously. Hana said that servants could not understand Sadao's predicament. No, he agreed. Sadao agreed with this. Neither seemed able to say more, and somehow the household dragged on. Servants grew more watchful. Their courtesy was as careful as ever, but their eyes were cold upon the pair to whom they were hired. Both of them had nothing more to say. The chores of the house continued, but the servants were vigilant. They were polite but unfriendly towards their masters. It is clear what our master ought to do, the old gardener said one morning. One morning, the old gardener said that it was obvious, it was clear what their master should have done. He had worked with flowers all his life and had been a specialist too in moss. The old gardeners had worked with flowers all his life and specialized in moss. What is mean by moss? A very small, soft green plant. For Dao's father, he had made one of the finest moss gardens in Japan. He had been employed by Sadao's father. The gardener had made one of the best moss gardens in Japan for Sadao's father, sweeping the bright green carpet constantly so that not a leaf or a pine needle marred the velvet of its surface. He would sweep the bright green colored carpet of the moss clean so that the sharp leaves of pine trees could not spoil the soft velvet surface. My old master's son knows very well what he ought to do, he now said, pinching a bud from a bush as he spoke when the man was so near death. Why did he not let him bleed? He plucked a flower bud from the bush as he said that his master's son, means Sadao, knew very well what he was supposed to do. He added that when the man was almost dead, he should have left him to bleed to death. The young master is so proud of his skill to save life that he saves any life. The cook said disrespectfully that their master was so proud of his skill at saving lives that he did not bother whose life he was saving. The cook said contemptuously. She split a fowl's neck skillfully and held the fluttering bird and let its blood flow into the roots of the wisteria vine. Blood is the best of fertilizers, and the old gardener would not let her waste a drop of it. She cut the neck of a hen skillfully and held the birds as it shivered. She let the blood of the hen flow into the wisteria plant. The old gardener had instructed her that blood was the best fertilizer for the plants, and he did not allow her to waste a single drop of it. It is the children of whom we must think, Yumi said sadly. What will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor? Traitor, a person who betrays his country. Yumi was worried about the fate of Sadao's and Hana's children. She wondered that when they grew up, they would be labeled as children of traitor. As Sadao was helping an American, all the people of Japan would consider him to be an enemy of Japan, a traitor of his country. Dear students, the next part of this lesson we will do in the next video, and in our next video we will complete this chapter. इस वीडियो में हमने देखा कि किस तरह से हाना और सदाओ उस अमेरिकन को अपने घर में लाते हैं और सदाओ उसका ऑपरेशन करता है। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि सदाओ एक ट्रेटर है, वो एक देशद्रोही है, नहीं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ही इज़ अ डॉक्टर, और एक डॉक्टर का सबसे पहला कर्तव्य ये होता है कि वो अपने पेशेंट को बचाए, और वही काम सदाओ यहाँ पे कर रहा है। लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपन इन द नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द चैप्टर. बाय बाय.